Hello. I have to turn the music off. So, I was listening to Smokey Norfolk. And the name of the song is I Know God for Myself. And he just talks about how you can't tell me nothing because I've tried him for myself. Like, he's been with me through every trial, when I was all alone, when friends walked away, when money was gone, when stuff was gone. I tried Jesus and he was there for me. And that's one of my favorite worship songs because that's a personal testimony of mine too. Today is a very, very, very special day in my life. 5 years ago, on August 15th, at approximately 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, I walked into a courtroom and I stood there before a judge and had my then marriage declared over. I was divorced. So today is my 5-year emancipation anniversary. And the reason I call it an emancipation is because before I got married, I was in a state of bondage. When I got married, because of the person I was married to and the spirits that were kind of running wild, I was deeper in bondage. But when I walked out, when God pulled me out, when God gave me the door and showed me, look, I care for you. I have better for you. I have more for you. When God began to work in me, then I was able to get out of that bondage and then begin to, undo all of the work that the bondage had done. And it came with renewing my mind. It came with a new identity, understanding who God made me to be and not just what man wanted me to be. So I called it an emancipation. And that year, my birthday is August 30th. So that year for my birthday, I had the emancipation party where it was just a barbecue with friends and family. But the point of it was I'm free. Satan tried it, but he didn't win. So this morning, actually last night, I went to bed with this on my heart. So I knew this morning I had to make a video. I had to talk about it. But as I celebrate my emancipation, as I celebrate what God did in my life 5 years ago, I'm encouraged and I'm reminded of the things he has promised me. And what got me out of that bondage, that situation, was a promise. I remember being married in the home I shared with my husband. It was about midnight or so, and it was the morning of my birthday, the start of my birthday. And I was in the Word, and I was studying, and God was stirring me up, and I began praying and just worshiping him, thanking him for his presence in my life. And then the ex-husband walks in, an argument starts, it gets physical, and God just something rose up in me, and where I never felt like I needed to be away from him, I needed to leave him, where I never felt that before. That spirit rose up within me, and I realized I'm not just fighting for Erica. I'm not just fighting for Willie and Willie Mae's daughter. I'm not just fighting for the Delta or the banker or whatever. I'm fighting for what God put inside of me. I'm fighting for God, for his glory. And God could not get the glory out of my life as long as I was in that situation. Because what was happening is I was in an abusive situation, an unhappy marriage, just completely tormented in the mind. My mind was bad. His mind was bad. And God couldn't get the glory because we could not fully, properly serve him. We could go to church and play the part, but at home it was a different story. We were at war. And because we were at war, God's glory couldn't be completely revealed because God said, behold, I will do a new thing. And war isn't anything new. Broken marriages isn't anything new. So abuse, hurt, adultery, those things, that's nothing new. He said, behold, I will do a new thing. So God began to minister to me. I left around 2 a.m., I want to say, and I came over to my parents' house and just went to sleep. My goal was I'm going to go home tomorrow. He'll cool down. It'll be all right. But God just began to show me what a husband was. He began to speak to me about what a husband did for his wife and what the whole purpose of man and woman and husband and wife was. Why marriage? Why relationship? Why not just be a bunch of individuals? And he showed me the power of man and woman when they come together with God in the center. He showed me how reproduction is possible, how one can reach 1,000, but two could take 10,000. So he just showed me the power and the strength of unity, but also unity on one accord. There's a scripture that says, well, God has joined together, no man can tear asunder. Meaning if God put it together, can't nobody rip it apart. But then the flip side of that is the Bible doesn't list it. But if it is true that what God puts together no one can take apart, that must also mean that if someone puts something together that God does not ordain, God himself will see to it to rip it apart because he is a complete God. On my last video, we talked about complete correction or the completion of correction. The fact that God doesn't come with his red pen just to mark all of us up and make us look all decorated with X's, but he's coming from this place of completion, this place of wholeness, this place of knowing who we really are. And so when God began to deal with me about this husband that he wanted me to have, that he had for me, I looked at the one I had and realized, wait, something's wrong. Because no matter how much I surrender to you, no matter how much I pray to you, no matter how much you transform me, he still is not what you've promised me. So God, what do I do? And because of the adultery, because of the abuse, because of the state of that man, God did tell me, he said, leave him. And he led me through being divorced. He made it completely easy. He made it completely stressless. Like it was both one of the hardest and the easiest things I've ever done. It was physically easy, but it was mentally and emotionally extremely difficult, because when you're married, you guys, the Bible is serious when it says that the man and woman should leave their parents and they would cleave into each other, that the two shall become one. That when that one comes together, like to rip one apart, where two were once standing as individuals, they come together, they're one. To rip that apart, it's like ripping flesh. It's ripping paper. It's the exact same thing that happens when you take a pencil and break it in half. What was once one piece has been broken. You may have more lead on one side than on the other. One side has an eraser, but one side only has the ability to write. So it's like going through divorce is literally a type of death. That's why God says he hates divorce. He's not putting us together to pull us apart. So it's important that when we are seeking a mate, that we are seeking God's will for our life. God's mate, God's idea of marriage is far more important, far more powerful than what you have in your mind. And if you do it the wrong way, he will put you in that situation where as a pencil, you just get snapped, because he said, hey, that ain't what I wanted for you. So today, this morning, the message that I come with is, it's about perfecting not just the promise, but perfecting your patience. Because it was August 30th, 2011 when I walked out on my ex-husband. It was somewhere around September 3rd, September 4th when God began to show me a vision of a husband. The husband that he had for me. Here I am 5 entire years later, 6 years technically from the day that I left him, but 5 years from the day that I was decreed an emancipated single woman. Thank you, Jesus. You know, it's 5 years later, and that promise, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. But God has taught me so much about how to perfect my patience. Because see, whether you're waiting for someone to call you back, or you're waiting for your turn in line, you're waiting for the pizza man to deliver your food, no matter what you're waiting for, how you wait is going to determine how much you enjoy what you're waiting for. Because see, if you're sitting on the edge of your seat, oh, I'm so hungry, I can't wait anymore, my stomach touching my back, you're just so focused on the negative aspects of waiting. When the food does arrive, it's going to be like, well, finally it's here. And then you start eating, and one bite you full. You got enough of it. Because in your mind had already decided it was over it. You know, like sometimes we can put ourselves in certain situations. You may be filling out bunches of job applications and you feel like, God, you're not listening. I need a job. Why is nobody calling me? And you feel discouraged. But the process is for you to be built, to become better. When you applied for this one job, maybe your resume needed some work. So you had to go back and rebuild the resume. And then maybe in rebuilding your resume, you realized you had some references on the list that probably wasn't giving you the best report. So then you begin to just evaluate all of the things that are involved in your process, and that makes the process more it's easier to accept the process. It makes it easier to go through. It makes it comfortable for you. Because see, God did not come to just make everything roses and butterflies and daisies and rainbows and just pretty. It's not meant to just be great all the time. He said that even if you give up houses, cars, friends, lovers, all of that for my name's sake, you will receive 100-fold. Yes, he will give you back everything that's ever been taken from you. But one thing he has also promised is that you will endure persecution. You will go through struggle. You will go through pain. It's a part of what builds you. If you look back over, I can't speak for anyone else, but when I look back over just the last 5 years of my life, from the minute God spoke to me and said, hey, trust me, delight yourself in me, and I will give you the desires of my heart. And from that moment, he told me that. 5 years later, I can look back at the process, and I can see how I have physically changed. I have mentally been made new. He has renewed my spirit. He has created in me a clean spirit. Where there was once bitterness and selfishness and brokenness and attitude and anger, he has given me joy. He has given me wisdom. He has given me discernment. He has given me boldness and bravery and confidence where there was once timidity, and where there was once fear, and when there was once shame. He has given me a crown where there was once thorns on my head. So I look at that last 5 years, just that 5 years, and I'm 28. So there's been 23 other years that he's been doing things. But just to prove a point, you can pull out a small chunk in your life. and just look back. Hindsight is always 2020. So if you pull out that small chunk and just look back over your life, you'll see that was God. That was God right there. He was there too. And if he was there back then, what makes you think he won't be there right now or tomorrow or the next day? And if it takes another 5 years for the promise to manifest, it's more important that I am waiting and becoming better. That I'm not waiting bitterly, but I'm waiting better. That I'm not waiting with poor heart, that I'm waiting with a pure heart, that I'm not waiting with anger, but I'm waiting with expectancy, with an awe, that I know the God that I serve, his promises will not return to him void. The promises of God are yes and amen. If he said it, he's going to do it. He's not a man. He does not lie. His word does not return to him void. I cannot say that enough. And as I say it, I'm encouraging myself because I can remember words that were given to me in 2010, 2011, 2012, and I wake up in 2017 like, God, do you remember that? But he's like, baby girl, don't you ever think that I forgot you. Don't you ever think that I don't have your back. Don't you ever for a moment think that I have left your side. Because if you look back 30 minutes ago, if you look back 30 days ago, if I take you back 6 months ago, then you will see me. You'll see where my hand was. You'll see where my heart was. You'll see that the entire time my eye was on you. See, there's this process of the wait. And see, while we're perfecting our patience, it's up to us to make sure we're maintaining a cheerful attitude, to make sure we're showing grace to others, to make sure we're clapping for those who are being blessed, even while we're waiting for our blessing. It's important that we perfect our own patience. Because guess what? When you get to the end of the waiting game, when you get to the end of the period, you're waiting. Ecclesiastes says there is a time for everything under the sun. Even your waiting has a time limit, baby. And when you get to the end of your waiting, there will be a promise. At the end of the period in which you had to be processed, at the end of the period in which you had to be patient, at the end of the period in which you had to get yourself together, stir yourself up in the Lord, at the end of all of that, you will be face to face with that promise. And it'll be prepared. Because while God was preparing you, while you were waiting, while you were perfecting your patience, while you were working out your own faith with fear and trembling, God was working on that thing he promised you. See, he's not a man that he should lie, and he's not an incomplete God. He's not a partial God. He's not the kind of God that is like, oh, okay, you want a cake? Here goes some eggs. No, he says, you want a cake? Well, here's the flour, here's the sugar, here's the shortening, here's the eggs, here goes some icing. Matter of fact, here's the spoon, here's the bowl, here's the mixer. He promises to be everything that's not there, but he is so gracious and so loving that he gives us everything that he is so that we will never truly lack anything. So though you may not yet see the cake, baby, you have every ingredient to make it. He's saying, I gave the ingredients. What you gonna do? I sent my son to die for your sin. Now what are you gonna do? You gonna wallow? You gonna lay down and stay dead? Or are you gonna live? Are you gonna receive eternal life? You do not have to wait until you die to receive eternal life. Thank you, Holy Spirit. You do not have to die to receive what God has for you. There is a Psalm 27. Read it all the way through. But the very last verse says, one thing that I am confident of, I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I will not have to be old and gray. I will not have to be on a walker, in a wheelchair, holding on my last leg. I won't be on life support. I will see God while I am young, while I am vibrant, while I am ready, while I am willing. Any one of us can see God, can see the promises of God, can see the will of God, can see the plan of God, can see the blessings. Any of us can receive the manifestation of all that he is. But are you doing your part? Are you believing? Are you trusting? Are you smiling? Are you giving? Are you sharing? Are you taking what God has given you and multiplying it? If he gave you a bag of oats, are you turning it into oatmeal? Are you turning it into granola? Are you making granola bars out of it? What are you doing with what God has placed in your hand? See, we're so used to asking for more. We feel like we don't have enough. We feel like, God, I need a new computer. Well, what are you doing with the one you got now? And that's a word for me because my prayer has been for a new computer for a while. My computer is 10 years old. And in computer years, that's ancient. But by the grace of God, this computer continues to do what I need it to do. By the grace of God, he doesn't give me an assignment that this computer cannot fulfill. So when I take to him and say, well, God, I can't do that because my computer is out of date, he said, try it. And when I try it, there's success. When you listen to what God is telling you to do, when you obey his promises, they may seem radical, they may seem impossible, but impossible things happen every single minute. Why? Because our God is a God of possibility. His name is I'm possible. That's why impossible things happen all the time, because he's always doing something for those who believe that he can. So as you work out your patience, as you work out your attitude, as you work out your heart posture, who are you depending on right now? Who are you relying on right now? Are you looking to mama and neighbors and cousins and friends to be your provider, to be your help, to be your encourager? Or can you get on your knees, on your face in a room, in a house all by yourself and cry out to Lord, Lord, you are my help. You are my strength. You are my salvation. In whom shall I fear? Who will I be afraid of if you are with me? Are you taking the time to just reverence your God? Are you taking 2 seconds out of your day not to ask him for anything, but just give him a round of applause? Have you given God a round of applause lately? Have you looked around yourself and seen everything that he's done, not just in your household, but next door and on the next street and in the next city? We look at what's happening in Virginia and we see the hatred. We talk more about the bad than we do about the good. But if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves before me, this is what the Lord says. It's in the Bible. If we will humble ourselves, if we who claim we are Christians, not those who don't believe, I'm not talking to you, but if you say you believe in Jesus, if you call yourself a Christian, you wear the hat, you put on the pretty suit, you sing the pretty songs, you wear the choir robe, you got on the dress, you're front and center in the church service, if you who are called by his name will humble yourself, will just realize that I'm not God, I'm not even better than him, I'm under him, I'm his child. If you will realize that, he said that he will hear from heaven, that he will answer your prayers, that he will heal your land, that if you're sick, you'll be made whole, that if you lack him, he'll fill you up, that if you're broken, he'll put you back together. But it's if we who claim that we belong to him, if we would get in the proper position, we might be able to receive some stuff. See, we like to quote the scriptures that say, God is going to open up the windows of heaven and he's going to pour you out a blessing and you won't have room to receive it. That is absolutely true. But what happens if God is opening that window of heaven and he's pouring out blessings that you don't have room to receive, but you still standing under the enemy's window, throwing rocks at his window, trying to get him to release his crumbs? If you're not in the proper position, you stand a chance of missing the promise. If you get out of alignment, if you get under the wrong shepherd, if you start following the wrong Lord, if you start allowing idols to be your God, if you start allowing celebrities and the president and all these things on the TV to block you, to distract you, you stand a chance of missing your own blessing. And it's nobody's fault but yours. See, we've been waiting so long on God. Oh, I wait on Lord. I wait on the Lord. And yes, this message is about waiting on the Lord. But a part of waiting on the Lord is knowing that you too have something to do. It says, they that wait upon the Lord, he shall renew their strength. But you don't need strength if you're not doing something. See, the reason that you need strength when you're waiting on the Lord, thank you, God. This is another revelation. Because we are still working while we're waiting. We're still serving while we're waiting, still trusting while we're waiting, still giving while we're waiting, still loving while we're waiting, still worshiping and praising and gathering with like-minded believers while we're waiting. Because we're working while we're waiting, we might sometimes feel a little weak. We might sometimes get a little discouraged. Well, our gas tank might sometimes be on E. And because it is him that we're waiting on, he himself steps in and says, I will renew your strength. And when your feet get tired, don't worry, because you will mount up on wings like eagles and you will soar. You won't be coasting. You won't be inching along. It won't be a little pitter-pat. No, he said, baby, it's time to soar on wings, meaning forget traffic. Forget if the train is on the track. You don't have to go through the ordinary measures that ordinary men would have to go through because you've been waiting on me. You haven't been waiting on a degree. You haven't been waiting on a job. You haven't been waiting on a relationship, but you've been waiting for me. And because you've been waiting on me, baby, I'm going to strengthen you. I'm going to soar you. I'm going to catapult you to some places. I'm going to take you to some new levels. Thank you, Jesus. The Bible says he will make your enemies your footstool. So in Jeremiah 1 it says, do not be afraid of men in their faces. Don't you ever let another man or another person or another entity intimidate you. You want to know why? Because there's nothing that they can do you. No weapon formed against you is going to prosper. That man doesn't know who you are. Jesus does. That man doesn't have a plan for your life. Jesus does. And in him, he says, I know the plans I have for you. They're to prosper you. Plans of good health, good fortune, good news all up and through you. So when the enemy is throwing these darts at you, learn how to reject some stuff. When you're learning how to perfect your patience, also learn how to protect your no. Protect your spirit of shut up. Know when not to talk. Know when not to respond. Know when not to argue with that person. Know when not to communicate with that naysayer. Because see, the whole earth, the whole nation, everybody that exists on the planet, they're waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. And that's why there are so many people saying, oh, the rapture is going to be this year. Oh, the rapture is going to be here. Oh, God is over there. This is the new Jesus. That's the Antichrist. That's why. Because everybody, even those who don't believe, they're waiting for the manifestation of what God said would happen. Because before God said he would send Jesus back, he said he would raise up his sons. He said he would manifest his kingdom. He said that you and me would be out here looking like him, representing him, speaking like him, healing in his name, perfecting our patience in his name. Before Jesus ever comes back, there's something God is waiting on you to do. Before Jesus ever comes back. So yes, we don't know the day, we don't know the time, and we don't know the hour. And that is why as you perfect this patience, also be willing to work. Be willing to work. Because as you work, you're helping God along. Because see, he might be working over here in the east somewhere. You might be in the south. But what you're doing in the south is when it's connected to God, it's so perfect that by the time you finish doing what you're doing in the south and he finishes what he's doing in the east, the west and the north have heard of it too. You see what I'm saying? When you come together with God, don't fret small beginnings. Don't look at small beginnings like they're nothing. Don't look at this time in which you're being asked to wait as though nothing is happening. You may not see anything, but it doesn't mean that nothing is happening. You may not feel anything, but it doesn't mean that anything is happening. You may not have experienced it. Others around you may seem like they're being blessed, and it may seem like God has forgotten about you. Good. Learn to applaud that. Learn to celebrate with other people. Because what I'm telling you, when he blesses you, the whole earth is going to celebrate. Because that's the kind of God he is. He said that he came to love on his children in such a way that it made those who don't believe in him jealous. That's what he wants for you. He wants to give hope to your haters. He wants to give renewed strength to your haters. He wants to give belief to those who don't believe. He wants to give vision to those who can't see. Not just physical sight, but spiritually. So allow him to work in you. Allow him to perfect your patience, to perfect your spirit of faith, to perfect even your unbelief. Just pray, Lord, help my unbelief. God, I know that you are real, but I may not know if I believe in what you said is going to happen. So God, I need you right now to perfect my unbelief. I need you to perfect my belief into this place to where I can no longer question you. I need you to give me confirmation, not because I doubt that you can, but because I know that you can. See, a lot of times in church we're told that we shouldn't ask for signs and symbols and etc. because it means that we're doubting God. But all throughout the Bible, God confirms his word over and over and over. He confirms himself. So if God has given you a word, and if you've spent 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, 3 months, however long, if you've been waiting on anything, don't ever think that you can't ask God to confirm what he put in you, because he delights in your faith. He delights in your faith and how it grows, and how maybe you once were just the mustard seed, but at some point that mustard seed is going to pop open, and when it pops open, roots come out, and at some point as those roots are growing and traveling and reaching, stems are going to begin to form, and as that stem is beginning to form, it's going to begin to be able to peek up above the ground. And guess what? That mustard seed will have a lot of questions about what he sees above the ground, because he's used to being under the ground. You, my friend, are like a mustard seed. He has planted you somewhere, and he has allowed you to be fertilized and nourished and grown in that place that you are in. So as you are elevated, as you grow from seed form to stem form, as you begin to sprout leaves and flowers and fruit, don't ever think that you can't talk to your creator about what he's doing in you. He says in 1 John, I think it's chapter 14, I'm not sure, but he says, I think it's John 14. He says, no longer are you my servants, because the servant don't know what the master is doing, but I call you my friend. Because I will reveal these things to you, because I have told you about my coming son. I have told you about the resurrection. I have told you about these things that you see now. You're not just some servant. You're not just some little lowly person who goes to church and, I'm all right. All I need is Jesus. That's true and all, but you're also a very powerful being on this planet. God put his spirit inside of you because he wanted to live in you. He wanted to use your voice, your gifts, your talents, your hands, your body. He wants to use everything that is you about you. So don't count yourself out. Don't count yourself out. Just humble yourself. Submit yourself. What surrendering means is when you finally decide that although I have free will, I'm choosing to use it to do what you want me to do. I'm choosing to give up my right to make decisions for your righteous decisions. That's what it is. It's taking your mind, it's taking your flesh, it's taking your heart, and you're making it obey the word of God. You're making it obey the Spirit of God. Surrendering isn't just, oh, I give up on life. No, you don't. Because the minute God touches you, you'll come alive in a brand new way. So it's not just about, oh, giving up, stretched out on the floor, slain in the spirit. No. That may be the beginning of it, but being a surrendered Christian, having a surrendered life means that you in him, you move and live and have your being. Meaning if he ain't there, you not there. If he don't say go, you don't go. If he says shut up, you shut up. If he says hug, you hug. If he says withhold, you withhold. If he says give, then you give. A surrendered life means that he is that X Jeeves in your brain. That he is the search bar that you type in, what do I do today? What do I wear today? How do I do this today? Because sometimes you need that extra help. Guys, if you've ever been in a situation where you've been taught to be something, maybe you've had a certain job. For instance, I worked at Victoria's Secret before. If you've ever worked in a company like Victoria's Secret or one where they promote sex appeal. If you've ever been in any type of anything that has kind of had you conform to it, when you come to God, there's going to be some undoing. So if you have the mind of a Victoria's Secret angel, if you have the mind of a diva or of a bombshell, if you have the mind of a sexy woman, whatever, God won't take away your sex appeal. But what he will do, because he's so faithful, so intentional, he'll show you how to manage it. He'll show you how to put modesty on what was once just nakedness. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'll give you perspective. He'll show you that each woman has one husband to whom she belongs, and that your body belongs to God first, and then that one husband. So you won't want to show your body. And the point I'm saying there is, people always ask me, because I make the comment often that I pray about what should I wear, etc. And people ask me, well, will God tell you what to wear? If you ask, yes, because it's that serious. It's that serious. A relationship with Christ is that serious. It's that real. That he will speak to you. That you can be in the store and he'll tell you, don't buy that. He will. And you'll probably think that's just a little voice. That was just a hunch. We always say, something told me to do that. Yeah, that something was God. And when it comes to the way that you present yourself, who cares more than your Father? Who cares more than the one who said, let us make them just like me? He said, let us make them just like us. Meaning, let me, God, make them man just like me, God. So a man, although you have free will, if you ever get outside of God's image, God's idea, his perception, you do have the right to come to him and say, Father, I've put on way too much me. I need you to empty me of myself and fill me of you. Show me what that looks like. If God calls you, because most time when he calls us and we're in a place that makes no sense. When God called me, I was working at the Gap. Now, how is it that I'm here selling clothes, etc.? I'm a manager. I'm like doing my little thing, whatever. How is it that I'm here and God says, but I want to take you higher. I have a plan for you. You're a teacher, actually. You're not just a salesman. You're a teacher. And I've given you something I want to perfect in you. Let me work this thing out with you. When God began calling me off my jobs, each job that I went to after I found God, he called me off. So I got to this point where I just stopped trying to go to a job because I realized that what he had for me, I could not receive in the midst of man's job. He takes care of me, and I'm grateful for the provision. I've learned to be content with a little bit. I know how to have a lot, but I've really learned to be content with a little bit. But the point was I had to take off my ideas. When he came to me and said, baby, this is who you are, I had to look at the fact that, wait, right now, I don't look like that. Right now, I'm not acting like that. So then it became up to me. It became my responsibility to unbecome everything that wasn't like God. But I couldn't get there without knowing God. You see how it works? So as you are perfecting your patience, also keep in mind that you have to be willing to work. But also, you must know that your image must match your identity. So a small recap. We know that the promises of God are yes and amen. So if God said it, he's going to do it. It may take 5 minutes. It may take 5 years. But when he said it, begin perfecting your patience. Perfecting the way you wait for that thing. Perfect the way you believe in that thing. Perfect the way you think about that thing. And then be willing to work. Find out what your work is. I have an acronym for work. The W is worship. The O is obey, because God is constantly speaking to us and all he asks is that we obey. The R is receive. Yeah. See, when you go to a traditional job, every week, every 2 weeks, twice a month, once a month, however it is, whatever you sign up for, you expect to receive your paycheck. You've been working and you expect to receive. But see, in God, working is not the same as working for a business, but there is a part of the work in God where you will have to receive. Because I won't say you will have to, you get the opportunity to receive. Meaning, while you're in worship, and while you're especially in the obedience stage, you may be called to give away some stuff, to walk away from some stuff, to give up some things. So in that receiving and that R, that's when God is saying, I have something for you. That what you gave up, that wasn't the end. That when it was over, that wasn't all. That's not how the story ends. So be willing to receive. Don't feel that everything that's coming to you, you have to work for it or pay for it or do something. I used to have this thought that if somebody did something for me, I had to do something for them. Or if they gave me something, I had to give them something back. But God taught me how to receive, how to just receive. Because some of us have been working and waiting and sowing, and we've been patient and we've been diligent and we've maintained our joy and maintained our expectations. We've been obedient. So God said, it's time for you to receive. Let that be okay. And once you receive, the K in work is to keep going. Keep going. Because see, the first promise may have been for a job. The second promise may be for a car. Then it may be for marriage or for a home. But you must realize that there are levels. So you must keep going. So it's worship, obey, receive, and keep going. So then finally, the last little bit of our message was make sure your identity and your image are in alignment with who God is. Image is what we present to the world. But your identity is who you truly, truly are when no one else is around. So make sure you're communicating that effectively. Make sure you're not sending the wrong symbol. Make sure you're not dressed up like Rahab when you're really a Ruth. Make sure you're not walking around looking like a Jezebel when you've really been called to be a queen. Okay? So I hope that this encourages you. I hope it inspires you. I am excited to continue sharing my journey with you because, like I said, I am waiting on something. I am expecting something major from God. I have a very strong feeling that He's already brought it into my life. But it doesn't mean that the work is over. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't still be perfecting my patience. Because even if the thing has come to my doorstep, it's not yet where I asked for it to be. And because it's not yet where I asked for it to be, that means I'm still in the waiting process. And that's a little reminder too. Sometimes you'll be able to see the promise, but you won't yet be able to touch it. That's okay too. Work out your patience. Perfect your patience. Be willing to work. And make sure that your identity matches God's identity. Make sure that your image matches God's identity. All right, I love you. Thank you for spending these last 30 minutes with me. Thank you for tuning in. I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me at Erica, ERYKA, @gmail.com. You can Facebook me. You can leave a comment under the video. Whatever it takes, whatever you would like to do. I'd love to talk to you. I'm easy to talk to. I love people. I love Jesus. But be reminded, seriously, you guys, because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. You cannot see your enemies. You may be able to see the people in which your enemy is using, but truly you cannot see your enemies. You do not see all these spiritual things that are constantly being thrown at us. It may be something as small as you get in a car and it seems like everybody's trying to run into you. That's spiritual. But God is faithful. There are angels. There are armies of angels that have been assigned to you for your entire life. And there's nothing that you can do to separate you from the love of Jesus. Not death, not life, not sickness, not health, not strongholds or principalities. Nothing can separate you from the love of Jesus. So embrace that. Perfect your patience. Be willing to work and make sure your image matches God's identity. And God promises to step in and do what He said He would. He promises that He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And His word will not return to Him void. So be encouraged. I love you. I love you. I love you.